Hello and welcome
I'm
to
ready.
Movies on the Side. This is Stephen Robles.
And this is Nate Baranowski.
And today we are transitioning back to TV on the Side. Yes, I still own the domain because I never get rid of domains. we're back to TOTS because we're going to review the Apple TV Plus original show, Lessons in Chemistry, starring Brie Larson. That's the show.
Now, Stephen, I had originally said, I think this is going to be your jam. And I don't know if originally you were like, I don't know. But I said, please get into this show with me.
Yes.
And then you did.
And then I did. You recommended this. So Apple TV Plus, because my other life outside of movies is like Apple and techie thing. So Apple TV Plus originals are like,
Homework.
Well, it could be homework, but also like there are some hits and misses. There's more hits than misses. But this one I was like, my exposure to Brie Larson is Captain Marvel, and the Between Two Ferns clip I see with Zach Galifianakis like every other day.
Right.
And then I think I saw her and one of the like survival guys. She like did a survival thing in the woods where she like survived for 24 hours.
In
on
that
an island.
like unknown? No,
it wasn't the
show?
unknown. It was one of
okay.
these like legit guys. Like who was the Bear Grylls?
Bear Grylls.
Yeah, she was with Bear Grylls, and they like they plant a boat that's been like you could tell everything like the show did everything like all the supplies are there. But anyway, but she was pretty nice in that. So, but I was curious like how would she do in a very dramatic role in this movie? And so spoiler, I think she does really well. I think she does very well. And both Whitney
Do we
and
need to break this episode up into pre-spoilers and then post-spoilers?
I think so. Although it's going to have to happen pretty quick as we discuss the series.
Because the spoilers come quick.
They're coming quick. I just need to do a side note real quick before we continue talking about the TV show. My hair, which I know is not related to a movie right now. But you, as a good friend of mine,
yes,
because I do a lot of YouTube videos,
yes,
my face is a lot of places. You eventually texted me. This was like a month or two ago. You were like, "We have to talk about the haircut." And I don't know if I told you this, but you said that after one of my videos that went viral around the iPhone 15 actually got several comments about the haircut.
Oh, no. I didn't know this.
Yes. I'll send you screenshots.
Oh, no.
There was one comment, which I shared this with my barber because I thought it was pretty good, where someone called me Kim Jong-un because of the haircut.
Whoa.
So, yeah, I know. Anyway, it was all good and fun. So anyway, I'm going to do a different haircut. I'm getting my haircut tomorrow. That's why I'm bringing this up as we record. Getting my haircut tomorrow. Right. So I'm not going to do this like shaved up to the part thing. I understand it's all right. It doesn't look great. It's fine. But can I do like almost shaved like around the ears with a fade? Do you think that would work? That would be okay? That's okay.
I think the ear fade is great. I think what I said to you was that I believe that the part was moving further north on the head.
It was about to be a center part.
And at some point in time, you were going to have half your head shaved and the other half would have hair. And
not a good look.
You know what I thought to myself? I thought, he probably already knows this, but there needs to be somebody in his life who says to him, hey, this is starting to look strange because your part's moving closer and closer to the prime meridian of your face.
The international date line was about to be crossed.
Greenwich was getting invaded.
Greenwich time, yeah. And I think my barber was like, for whatever reason, I'm not sure. Maybe there's a hair thinning situation. I don't know. But I do think the part was moving, as you say, because I was getting that same haircut for a while.
What did the barber say? And how old is your barber?
I don't know if he would ever listen to this.
He would never listen to Mott's. I can guarantee you.
Okay. So he's about 27, 28.
Oh, wow. He's not 75 like I thought he was.
No. I like him. I asked him to shave it like pretty short up to the part. So this was my, he was going off my instruction. I never said
the part. Now the part you kept as sort of a vague term, right?
I never said like keep the part on the 1/3 of my head. You know, maybe I should have specified like don't put it in the middle.
You can't just
okay?
make a part.
Don't make a part where there is no part. Okay, he will make a way where there's no way. Don't you make a way where there's no way. Don't do that. So that would continue to move. And when I said something, I was like, hey, I've gotten a couple of YouTube comments. And I had a good friend of mine say something. So let's do something different.
Oh, so you brought me up as like, hey, I love your cuts. But there's this jerk that I know who says like, hey, it's moving a little bit.
It was two instances. I said a couple YouTube comments first because those came back in like September. And we were just like, yeah, but what do those jokers know? There were hundreds of comments. They whatever. And then you said something, I think it was like October, November. And then I went back to him a second time. I was like, hey, listen, buddy, I think we should do something different.
How did the barber react? I don't know the psyche of a barber of like, did he take it in, or he or she, I don't exactly know. Did they take it like offense to their like craftsmanship?
There's this. We're going to get to lessons in chemistry in a minute. But listeners, this is like old school Mott's energy.
This is important.
This is old school Mott's. So this barbershop is usually 5 to 6 dudes. It's all dude barbers cutting all dude hairs. They all like rag on each other the entire time. And
men only.
It's men only. And so when it's called Gents, the place is called Gents, in case you were wondering.
They have to wait. Have you had to give an opinion of whether LeBron or Michael Jordan is the best of all time?
There's not a lot of sports talk. It's not that kind of thing.
Ooh,
They're talking about cars. They talk about sneakers sometimes. They talk a lot about tattoos. Which I was going to say, my barber, who's 27-ish, a lot of tattoos. Face tattoos, some piercings. He wants to get a gauge. I said, why do you want to get a gauge? He said, it looks cool. I said, cool, man. Awesome. That's fine.
Now, he is your barber. Like, you don't go in and just pick a barber.
No. You got to make an appointment.
He's yours.
Weeks in advance. This place is booked solid. Got to make an appointment for a long time. Gents. Okay?
Nothing nefarious happening at this place, right?
Absolutely a front for something. That's fine. They make also a great hair product that I use. It costs $30. I buy it anyway. So, you get it's a pretty good sized jar. Anyway, so after my YouTube comments, I mentioned that one comment said Kim Jong-un. And so now, like, the other barbers heard it. And so at that appointment and the couple of subsequent appointments.
Did you razz yourself?
I razzed myself. And also the other barbers then address me as supreme leader as I walk in the bar.
Yikes!
So, I mean, it's funny. I'm down for that. So, but
you're down for being a dictator.
I said, all right, all jokes aside, let's fix this haircut. Let's not do this again. So he did a thing. I'm not sure how the part went, but he didn't shave it up to the part. It was kind of like a little longer length, so you didn't see the part as much. So anyway, I'm going there tomorrow.
I mean, you can't undo short hair. You just have to wait, right? You can't just be like, I'm going to make this more now.
So anyway, I'm going there tomorrow. I'm going to have him do like, real short, almost shaved by the ears with a fade, and we'll see how that goes.
But the area of your head that is the area in question is beginning to grow back.
Yes, he did say we have to let it grow back a little bit, and so I think it's doing something. So we'll find out. We'll find out what happens. Maybe my part will literally be an inch wide after tomorrow. I don't know.
Just a big, like Moses through the Red Sea.
A runway.
And the people walked on dry land over the top of Stephen's head.
Down the middle. Runway.
Perfect.
Now you also said, this is the last thing I'll say about the hair. When I had it real short, you were like, mine look good just that short all over.
All over. Correct. And then you can start fresh.
Yes. I've been thinking about that, Nate. I just want to say.
Clean slate. I love the idea. I mean, listen. It's all clean slate for me.
If you have never, ever seen a picture of Nate Baranowski, he is bald. He is bald.
Take a look.
But Nate looks great. Nate is an incredible looking guy, so it doesn't matter.
I like to model my hair after Jason Statham.
What about your physique?
That's my look. That's
Do you model
my
the
vibe.
physique after Jason Statham?
I mean, someday, maybe at the end of 2024.
You're a good-looking guy. One day, when the recedes far enough, I will do that, and I'll just be like...
I feel like you are at the point. Your hairline is great. I'm glad we're here in the main episode. This is usually a bonus topic.
If you
like this, head on over to support us on Patreon. What's the link, Steven?
Patreon.com/movies on the side or directly in Apple Podcasts.
I think you would look great with a full buzz cut all the way. I think it would look great along the way.
I've been trying to picture it ever since you said it.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I mean, let me do some Photoshop work. I can get you there.
That's terrifying.
I can show you what it would look like.
That sounds terrifying. Yeah, let's do it. Sure. No. I'd love to see it.
Okay.
I can also ask Dolly.
Send me some glossy JPEGs.
Okay. Anyway.
Let's get into lessons in chemistry.
I was excited for this. You said you enjoyed it. I watched this with Whitney. And I just have to say, seeing Brie Larson, she plays Elizabeth Zott, a chemist in the 1950s, that because of the 1950s and culture, like, she is a brilliant chemist, but treated as though she is like a secretary. And so we see all these interactions, but yeah, I don't know how much... I'm struggling to say how much to say before a spoiler horn.
Well, let's just give our overall vibes of the show, and then let's just spoiler horn pretty quickly. Okay.
I will just say, overall, I really enjoyed Brie Larson. Whitney really enjoyed this entire show. I think the entire cast does a great job. The story is very compelling. This is based on a novel, which I wasn't sure. I actually had to search after the first couple episodes, is this based on a true story? It kind of has that feel, which I think is good. It is not based on a true story, but it has that feel, it's very real life. And I was engrossed. It was compelling. And I think Brie Larson especially, I never, after the first episode, thought of her as Captain Marvel or ever struggled to believe that she was this chemist. She convinced me, and she did amazing, I think.
Yeah. Along the way, I would say I was so happy that this is a season where the entire arc wraps up. And I found myself actually thinking, I wish more shows weren't just getting me to season 2 and actually had a beginning, a middle, and an end to them. Yes. And this is what I was so happy. By the end of the show, I felt like I watched a really long, beautiful movie.
Yes.
That just came to an end at the end of it. And I wish more really high class TV did that exact same thing, instead of going we're just going to leave you on a cliffhanger and then pitch it to Netflix for season 2 or whatever along the way.
And I did love that. It's one season. There are no more seasons after this, 8 episodes. The 8th episode is the series finale. That's it. And it
wraps up.
It wraps up. And when we got to the end, I did have that feeling of I loved seeing these characters and people, and I would love to follow them more. But I also was really satisfied with that ending. And it definitely has a sense of closure and a sense of actually no more is probably great, because this feels great at the end, and you don't want to mess it up. Another season might mess it up. You never know. So
Okay, so before we get into the details, I have to say that this show does a great job at illustrating kind of what we talked about with Barbie. It shows sort of the insidious nature of misogyny and how the patriarchy kind of gets applied to a female chemist.
Right.
But it does so in a way that while Barbie makes it digestible to everyone with satire, this makes it digestible with time. So using the 50s, using the 60s, you can say, even if you were the most curmudgeonly, all of that's solved and all women and men are treated equal everywhere, this gives you that palatable, actually, you cannot deny that at least no more than 50 years ago, and I would say probably, of course, the echoes of it through today.
Yeah.
This shows legitimate discrimination that she faces while just trying to be a chemist that really, as we talk about it after spoiler horn, really made some punchable people, punchable faces
Many.
in this show abound. But I thought it was a really great way to deliver the message in a way, in a capsule that is digestible and going like, wow, she faces a lot of like very subtle discrimination at times, very overt at other times, but in a way that makes me think like, oh, wow, it really is going kind of back to Barbie. Like, she just wants to be a chemist. She's passionate about this.
Right.
And she's looked at it like, well, you can't. You're a woman. Like,
how
could you?
There was a conversation. She has a conversation with a character, and this character encourages Brie Larson to like apply for something to be a chemistry doctor or whatever. And Brie Larson's like, there's not even a Mrs. nor a Miss option on the application.
Amazing.
And it's like, right. There was the time where like the only option was Mr. And just that.
And it wasn't that long ago.
And it wasn't that long ago. So like just that simple like point of fact, like that was just the thing. That's how it was. I think it's helpful to see that.
Yeah.
And also to see like all, the people who there were, even in the 50s and 60s, whatever, like there were people that did not adhere to that kind of misogyny. And like the person that she, as we will discuss, falls in love with. But that doesn't change like, there's this dichotomy of, yes, there are good people even in bad systems, but that is also not to like disregard the bad system. Like, we don't have to say that this one person is bad because the system's bad, but we also shouldn't say the system's okay because this one person's good. Like, these are two truths. We have to hold them in, with both hands. And I think that's a good lesson, pun intended, for today. Like, sometimes two things are true. This person might be a good person, but is part of a system that is still unhealthy or whatever. And we have to like work with that tension and figure it out. And I think the show does a good job of like highlighting like the studio producer that she eventually works with for the show.
Dwight Schrute.
Well, there's Dwight Schrute is in this show. He's amazing.
Oh, you're talking about like the good producer.
Walter
like
Pine
on
is
her
the
side.
character.
Yes.
Yeah, and Kevin Sussman is the actor. And he works with Brie Larson on this show. And like he's one of those who like is a good person in this show. Like treats everyone really well. Like, and he is again an example of a good person in a bad system with a bad overbearing boss. And it's one of these tensions we just have to hold. And I think it does really good. I think the entire show does good balancing that and telling a wonderful story that's engrossing and you can enjoy watching the whole time.
Absolutely. So, I think there is kind of getting my family-friendly hat on for a second. The show has a few very intense moments in her past that, like, this show never gets graphic or anything, but it is, like, pretty jarring in her, like, her story. But other than that, which could be triggering for some people, I would recommend this show to almost anyone. Almost any adult. As far as a show that like is well paced, has great characters you root for, comes to an end at the end of the 8 episodes, has a couple moments where you're like, where is this going? But other than that, like, is satisfying. You root for the protagonist throughout.
Absolutely.
And like, what more can you ask for?
All right, let's rate this movie. We'll do a spoiler horn, and then we have to talk about what happens
Romance
early
corner
in the season. Well, yes, Romance corner. That is the corner for today. Who rates first? I always forget. I don't know.
I will go first.
You go first? Okay, hold on. Let me get a number in my mind. Let me get a number. That's okay. Go ahead.
I think that Lessons in Chemistry is a 4.5 for me, and here's why. There are a few shows that have a stickiness to them. I think I even told you when I was about 3 episodes in, I don't know where this show is going. I don't know like what's going to happen, but I care deeply about these characters and I want the best for them.
Yep.
And I think I'm giving it 4.5 because I believed in Brie Larson and Lewis Pullman, who plays Calvin Evans. I believe in their love.
Yes.
I believe in like the story along the way.
Yes.
It is both like beautiful and tragic. It's beautifully tragic is what I would call this whole show in a lot of ways.
Yes.
And I think it's really, really good.
Yes. I literally had that same number in my mind, 4.5 out of 5. I have very little I would want different from this show. I feel like it is rewatchable someday, like, you know, maybe with a different, people or whatever. Like, I think it's great. It's a 4.5. And when it comes to Apple TV Plus shows, because I have a lot of like Apple followers, tech people, I said like this might be my favorite Apple TV Plus show, which is very controversial in the Apple tech world, because Apple TV Plus also has Ted Lasso, beloved by many. Right. It has what is the
Godzilla, beloved by you, I assume. We haven't talked about it yet, but I assume that's your jam.
It's okay. The show's okay. There's not a lot of big monsters in it. It's just kind of, there's some big monsters, but...
Steven's official review, not enough big monsters in Godzilla.
That's my Siskel and Ebert review. What was the, sir, it starts with an S, the...
Severance.
Severance. Did you watch Severance?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I believe, didn't we review this on the show, or did we just talk about it in a bonus episode?
We did. So Severance, a lot of people were like, because I tweeted, Lessons in Chemistry might be mine.
Severance was such a slow burn that I felt like I had to like slodge, if that's a word, through Severance to get to the payoff, the finale. This one was actually enjoyable week to week.
There was that. Severance was very like mind-bending and engrossing, but also that waffle party, I think it scarred me. Actually.
Ooh.
You know what I'm talking about, right? Do you remember the waffle party?
Too much. Yep, I remember it.
See, that's it. So anyway, I do think this is one of the best. Ted Lasso season 1 is still up there as like one of my favorite Apple TV Plus. Seasons 1 and 2 is very good. I've been watching the latest season. It's kind of, it's okay, not as good. But this show, I think as a whole, front to back, because it's only one season, I think it is, I will say it, I think it's the best show Apple TV Plus has. I have not watched Slow Horses either, though. Have you seen that?
No, I haven't.
Yeah, I haven't seen Slow Horses. Everybody says
Slow Horses.
No. Slow Horse. It gets Gary Oldman, apparently. So.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I haven't seen it. But anyway, we both give it 4.5 out of 5. Here's the spoiler horn. If you don't want to be spoiled, go watch Lessons in Chemistry. Come back and listen to the second half of this episode. But here it is. Womp. We need to get to Romance Corner, but I just want to say right up front, I was not emotionally prepared for what this show did.
No one is.
No one is emotionally prepared. So let's do Romance Corner first. And I'll let you.
No, we have to stop right here and say, there has only been one other time in my life watching a show where the death of a character hit me as hard as this death.
What was that other show? Was it Downton Abbey?
Matthew Crawley.
Yes.
Downton Abbey.
I called it. I knew it. I knew it was Matthew Crawley. I felt this when Matthew Crawley, spoiler for that however many year old season.
Yeah, did we? I mean, that's like 10 years ago, right?
I think it's like 10 years.
Right?
When that happened in Downton Abbey, like, I think I couldn't catch my breath for a second. I was like, how could this show do this to this person?
Mm-hmm.
And I felt similarly in this show. Like, how?
So Calvin Evans and Elizabeth Zott have this like beautiful working relationship that is not romantic at all. And there's something really like, he's like, wait, why are you experiencing any discrimination? You're a brilliant chemist. And she's like, do you not know about the world out there? But he's just like it's
just ignorance.
Like
he's in his own bubble. Yeah. He's like a savant or whatever. He's a little like compulsive, maybe, like he's very particular about certain things but not about others.
They both are. They both have a certain I'm not a psychiatrist or psychologist, but they both have a certain element to them that makes them like not really mixed up in the world's emotional connections with different relationships and stuff. They're both just like singularly focused.
Right.
They're both like they're perfect for each other is
also
really
both,
the point of it.
As we learned through the course of the show, both very hurt in childhood
Right.
And would make sense why they are detached from emotions as adults. Like, makes total sense. So anyway.
Right. And they end up working together, and I thought to myself, well, maybe they won't like end up falling in love and like being together, but they do.
They do. And
it is
amazing.
Satisfying.
It is so satisfying.
It is a satisfying relationship to watch, to see bloom. And I remember when they first kiss on the dock, I had like an internal like cheer moment of like, yes.
Yes, yes.
And that's what you want from your audience when you're like, you want them to root for a relationship to happen. I give it like a similar to Jim and Pam in The Office, where you're just like, it's happening. And yet this happens in like episode 2. So they don't even give me like 2 years of will they, won't they. They make this 8 episodes feel like I've been waiting forever for them to like see each other as each other's person. Somehow, I think they do it over the course of 3 episodes, because I think it's the 3rd episode where they have the Christmas thing, where they're like, and then it's at the end of that episode. Dancing together in the lab.
It's so beautiful. Like, Romance Corner, I think this movie excels so far. And you would think the way these characters are written, Elizabeth Zott being like this seemingly emotionless chemist, and Pullman, being how he is, you just would not expect it. And somehow they make it come together so quickly over the course of these like 2 episodes. And then they literally, at the end of that 3rd episode, they kill him off.
They kill him off before the halfway point of the series.
I was so mad. Like, it's one of those, like, sometimes in movies and TV shows, like, there's a couple that comes together and you're like, I don't know, there's a sigh of like relief, and like, it's so wonderful to see 2 people. And, this is a whole tangent, but like, those of us who want to be in relationships and are married, like, when you see this picture, like this picturesque couple, it's like, it's really encouraging. It's inspiring. It's satisfying. And you're like, this is wonderful to like see this working. It's something to like maybe strive for sometimes when you see it on screen.
They share this like this like close intellectual intimacy as they work, they strive towards this project. And yet they like begin to develop this emotional intimacy on top of it, where they start sharing about their lives and like enjoy the time together. And that, like, watching it is like, wow, like that is inspiring as a relationship.
And you see like what every relationship has to work out, like communication. There's one moment in the lab where they bring him a bunch of mail, and Calvin Evans gets really angry, and he's like, I told everybody to stop, like, you mail person, I've told you not to bring these to the lab. He gets really angry and like doesn't explain to Elizabeth Zott what's really going on. And it's like, oh yeah, like perfect picture of what happens in every marriage ever. Like, something happens, one person gets worked up or angry, doesn't communicate why or what it's about, and it creates tension in the relationship, and hopefully you get to it later. If you don't, then it just compounds, and it's not a good thing. But it was so eloquently done on screen. And then for him to just so quickly be taken.
And it was shot from the first couple episodes.
Yeah.
As he's running, it's shot like at some point in time he dodges a car. And I believe, and I'm watching it with Jill, I believe at some point in time she goes like, oh no, he's going to get hit by a car. And I'm like, no.
She caught the
foreshadowing. They're not going to kill him off so early.
Wow.
And in the very scene where he goes, jogging with a dog.
Yes.
She's like, she starts saying, oh no, oh no. And it's like, I see it as it's coming. I'm like, no, don't do this.
I think I started feeling it. And whenever someone's like cooking a nice breakfast and the other person says, I'll be right back, something's about to happen. Like,
it's done. Yeah, you're done for.
And when the dog was like barking, whatever, it was like, Now I will say, how did you feel about that one episode where we heard like the dog's narration?
Here we go. That's what brought me down from
that's the half a point.
What brought me down from
that's
a 5 to a 4.5 is because when that dog started like narrating
internal
the next
dialogue.
episode is my low point first off, I was angry that Calvin Evans was dead.
Right, because it was right after that.
Like, it was right
Calvin
after.
Evans dies, and the next episode we hear the dog
is
talking
this dog
to itself.
about to talk
Why are we,
to the human?
Why are we
Forget
on a
about
dog?
it.
Get it out
Why?
of here. Yeah, I didn't
and he was, and thankfully, that was like episode 4, but not further. Man, if that dog had become like,
there's going to be a different show.
In the book, I actually talked to someone recently who read the book.
Okay.
In the book, the dog is a bigger part of the story. And if the dog was a bigger part of the story, I would say like, okay, I get it.
Sure.
Like the dog was more part of their relationship. I felt like that dog was kind of shoehorned into this TV show.
Yeah.
And then when he started like having his own homeward bound narration, I was like, no, I'm not in for this.
Yeah, I did not like that. Okay, well, I'm glad we're on the same page. I did not like that. That is the half a point, in case you're wondering.
Yep.
Deduction for this show.
That's it.
The dog narration. But I was so heartbroken.
The leader of the chemistry school being the sniveliest weasel of a man.
Yes.
That might have bumped up another point. Dwight Schrute appears later because Elizabeth Zott goes on like a cooking show as a chemistry, like teaching women about cooking back in the 50s.
Yes.
And he's this like really
misogynistic TV producer.
TV producer guy.
Yeah.
He was also excellently punchable.
He was. Do I need to watch The Office, Nate? Have you seen The Office?
I have. It's pretty good.
I keep trying.
I mean, you like Brooklyn Nine-Nine, so I feel like just watch the predecessor of that and be like, okay, Office walked so that Brooklyn Nine-Nine could also walk.
Yes. Could also walk. Wait a minute. Did you not like Brooklyn Nine-Nine?
I haven't got into it that much because I thought like I've seen The Office and Parks and Rec. I felt like at that point in time, like,
oh sure,
I get it.
See, I missed the first two. I just went straight to Brooklyn Nine-Nine.
You just went, right to the ancestor. Okay, so in this show, I would have to say Calvin Evans, Elizabeth Zott, romance corner.
Yes,
top notch. I would say to me, like, couldn't get much better for me.
Yes. Agreed.
He leaves at the end of episode 3.
Right.
There is a big hole to fill.
Big hole.
But I think we're supposed to feel the hole.
Oh.
Other characters that I think step in nicely. We get Harriet, the neighbor, who comes in,
lawyer,
who is great.
Yep.
We get that the TV producer, and we get, I think, an incredible child actor.
Yes.
And the daughter, Madeline
Zott, played by Alice Halsey.
Her acting was great.
Amazing. Yes.
Like, she nailed it. And, like, I found myself by the end of the season, although they bring Calvin back as, like,
a ghost.
Brie Larson looks
standing
over
in the
and, like, sees,
which,
like,
it was tasteful.
Very cool.
It was tasteful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It wasn't overly done. Like, they had a conversation at some point in time, and then the chair was empty. Like,
right.
losing someone, like, I would want to talk to them as well, sort of thing along the way. But I thought these other characters kind of stepped in and elevated that next point to, I thought at the end of episode 4, I was like, maybe not. But, like, I'm back in 5, 6, 7, and 8.
They nail it all the way to the end. Even the Dr. Leland Mason, played by Mark Evan Jackson, who is also in The Good Place, which one of my favorite TV shows. Also, him, the Reverend.
Makes you want to row crew, right?
The crew. He told Brie Larson to be on the crew team. Like, didn't really invite. He basically like told her, "You need to join the crew team." The Reverend Wakely, played by Patrick Walker. I loved him. The whole episode where we learned that he and Calvin Evans were like pen pals, writing from like a priest to scientist perspective. Like, that was a wonderful just part of the story. Like, it just does such a great job of like investing into these characters. Like, I felt invested, pulling us in, and it just makes me wonder, like, why can't other shows do this? Like, it had great characters. I cared
great
about
script.
them all. Great script.
Right.
I cared about them all. And it was great. Even the other romance corner between Walter Pine, the TV producer, and Fran Frask, the secretary. like that was fun too. Like it was great.
Here's something that I think the show does really well. One, I didn't enjoy the music of the intro title, but at the very end they changed it to a more dramatic music, and I was like, all right,
that was nice.
You got me there.
That was nice. That was
nice along the way.
Yes.
I think it was very cool that they didn't rush her into another relationship, which was never the point.
Right.
But I was a little bit worried that they were introducing the Reverend to be an eventual love interest for her. I'm really glad that this show didn't rush to fill the hole that was left by Calvin Evans.
Correct.
Like, she still had to grapple with it. And she didn't, although I wanted it badly, she didn't get to have those like the bad guys all get their comeuppance. Now, Dwight Schrute gets his comeuppance. He gets fired at the end, which is great.
Yeah.
But like the people at Cummings don't just like all like get slapped on the wrist for being jerks to her along the way, and like they don't all get their comeuppance for like plagiarizing her work along the way.
Right.
And I think that's really cool that this leaves you with the dissonance of, oh yeah, life continues to be in a lot of ways unfair.
Yeah.
Like, this is not a true story along the way, but it is true in its like, not all people that cross you and betray you get the like comeuppance at the end. Some people just get away with it.
The one thing I wish went the other way was in the final episode, the lawyer neighbor Harriet Sloan was fighting for the freeway to not be built through their community and like basically destroy these houses. And in the final episode, they decide to build the freeway. Like, she loses.
Right.
And then, like, I'm still a little mad about that. I kind of like maybe it would have been too like frosting.
Storybook.
Yeah, maybe it would have been too storybook to have that, but that maybe bothered me in a good way. Like, the TV show made me care about that too. And I was like, and I didn't feel like the ending of the show, I still felt like satisfied with the end, but that bothered me that they didn't get the.
I think a show like this that's based in the past, I think if it tied everything up beautifully, I think we would, as viewers, be tempted to resolve all our personal dissonance, especially you and me as men, be like, all good, all great.
Like Will Ferrell.
And I like that it left kind of the inequity of life just open. Like, hey, life's not resolved, life's not all buttoned up, and the good people didn't all, win, and all the greedy people got what was coming to them. I thought that was nice.
That is true. Nate, it is 11:30 as we're recording right now at night.
At night.
I think it's time to go. I think it's time to go.
We don't often say good night to our listeners.
That's right.
But this might be that night.
This might be that night. I will have to say, our bonus episode, I think we went for 2 hours. I'm not exactly sure. You'll have to see it at the time code.
Dilation.
We talked to time dilation. We talked about our New Year's resolutions. We talked about, our yearly themes. We're not, not necessarily resolutions. But we talked about that. We talked about cheesecake and popcorn and so many things. I don't even remember. So anyway, you should check out that bonus episode to listen to it. You can go to patreon.com/moviesontheside. Support the show with any amount. You get access to all our past bonus episodes and future episodes. Or you can subscribe directly in Apple Podcasts and do it there. Thank you for listening to this episode. And as we always say, can you read at this time of night? Is it possible?
Of course. I would be much further along in my research if I wasn't making excellent coffee for mediocre scientists.
That's a good line. That's a good line. I'll give you that one. You pulled it out.